Hello and welcome. This is the fourth Lunch and Learn series for Build a Dream in May 2021 from the Department of Small and Local Business Development. Today we're going to be talking about your ecosystem, and we'll explain what we mean by an ecosystem for businesses momentarily. I'm going to say a little bit about Build a Dream and the work that we do at DSLBD and Inno.ed. Build a Dream is all about how entrepreneurship is for everyone, whether it's going to be your full-time work or a side hustle. Entrepreneurship is hard, but it is about a mindset, an idea. It's about that network that's around you, and it's about knowing where to find resources, which is what we're going to talk about today. An overview of our agenda. We're going to describe what a business ecosystem is. We're going to say just a little bit from about what it means to always be pitching your business anytime you're talking to anyone, how you can think about how to work with free technical assistance providers and be pitching to them. It's a great place to practice. And then the real meat of what we're going to do today is we're going to give a big, broad overview of a lot of the resources, not all of them, but a lot of the resources that are available to you, and then talk a little bit about how you start navigating that. As we get going, I am so excited to mention the members of our team who are here today from Inno.ed. My name is Kate Marin. I'm the program manager for the Innovation and Equitable Development team, and we have a wonderful team who works with small businesses every day on both programs, technical assistance, and training. So I'll invite each one of our team members to say hello. Shannon, if you want to say hello and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Shannon Taylor, a member of the Inno.ed team. I am the DC-based brands coordinator for the team, specifically coordinating the Made in DC program, which is a certification program for maker, manufacturing, and creative businesses here. Thank you all for joining today.
Thanks so much. Camille?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Kate. I'm Camille Nixon, Project and Capital Access Manager. And as my title says, I work on projects like the DC Business Toolkit, which we'll be speaking about later, as well as our DC Kiva Hub, which just launched. It's the way to get no-cost loans very quickly for most businesses in the district. And we're glad to be here.
Wonderful. And Caroline?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Caroline Howe. I am the Aspire Program Coordinator, which is our program for returning citizens. I also represent our team on the Food Policy Council's Entrepreneurship and Food Jobs Working Group. So I do a lot with food jobs and also sustainability businesses and social enterprises. So very excited to be here.
Wonderful. And we also have a couple more team members who support us in different ways. They've been detailed either from other parts of the agency or from other agencies. Katina Bolden is not with us on the line today, but I'd like to ask Benicio if you would like to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I work for the Department of Energy and Environment, and I'm currently detailed at DSLBD. I usually work with sustainable businesses, green businesses, helping everyone become more sustainable.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to say just a little bit about the Build a Dream curriculum. Build a Dream has a standard 10-hour course that's been extended in many different ways to add other topics. It is typically 2-hour module sessions. We have been pulling it down to 30 minutes, but over 3,000 people in the District of Columbia have gone through the 10-hour course in person. This is a picture of one of them, and the really great value of Build a Dream and what you're seeing in this picture is entrepreneurs working together. And so as we talk about resources and we talk about TA providers today, I really want to highlight the value that other entrepreneurs play in your business. They often know information in a much more detailed way. They've lived through things. They know the emotional ups and downs. And so we definitely recommend to all business owners that they start to build a network of other business owners, even if they're in a different industry, to have that shared experience. You're going to see as we go through today that there are some instructions in case someone would like to run a 2-hour class based on this 30-minute version that's here. Build a Dream is entirely open source, and so whether you download that curriculum or you are using these PowerPoints for each one of the sessions that we've done, you can run a class because it's all based on that crowdsourced information and people sharing information with each other about how they're moving through things. And there is incredible power in the crowd. Today, we are going to move a little bit off the script, 10-hour session, but what we're doing is we're adapting something from our extended series called Your Ecosystem. So the first question is, what is an ecosystem? And so as we think about ecosystems, Many people may remember or may be involved now in a lot of the environmental discussions. We think about how the flowers and the trees and the bees and the animals and the rain all comes together, and you see the ecosystem of how things grow and how the earth works. That's entirely correct for what an ecosystem is. And the idea of a business ecosystem, it's the way that people talk about all of the resources that surround your business that helps your business grow. And that's what's really important about the business ecosystem is everyone who is involved in this wants to see your business grow, and they want to help you in different ways. So one of the things that can be very challenging, we often say that the district is rich with resources for small businesses, but it's very hard to navigate because it's almost overwhelming that there are so many resources. So one perspective that we'll come back to is to think a little bit about how constellations and stars look different depending on where you are in the planet. That is similar for your business as you are looking at the resources to gather around you. Where you are is going to, in your business, is going to change what kind of resources you're looking at and which ones you're going to want to see. So we're going to talk about a lot today. They may not all apply to you, but it's good to know that they're there. They may apply to you later, or they may apply to other businesses that you're networking with. So if you were running an interactive workshop at this time, you'd spend just about 5 minutes having people talk about an entrepreneurial ecosystem. Some people have heard it, some people haven't. The concept isn't necessarily new, but the term of art might be. So one of the things as you think about navigating the TA ecosystem, and this sort of builds on our standard Build a Dream framework, is to think about how you are always pitching your business. Sometimes we're nervous about pitching, but in some senses, pitching is just telling people what your business is and how you do it. And that's a great way to practice with service providers who are there to help you, technical assistance providers, because you have to explain to them what your business is anyway. And so it's a great way to practice your elevator pitch or to ask them to look at your internet presence. Sometimes when we think about pitching, it really is getting to that investor pitch. And one of the ways the TA network can help you is, some folks in the TA network can help review that with you as well. So there's always a way and a perspective that you're going to be pitching your business as you are working on getting support for your business. And so within that, if you're running an interactive workshop, what you would do is have everyone provide their 1-minute elevator pitch as their introduction to their business. And if people are nervous about it, it doesn't have to be a perfect pitch. It does have to be short. And that way you can get through everyone who's in the workshop and everyone has a little bit of a sense of what everyone else is doing. So we're going to talk a little bit about technical assistance. We often call this TA. If you haven't not used to hearing TA, it may be weird when people say TA. That means technical assistance. And technical assistance is advice or support for what you're doing. And so there are a lot of free technical assistance providers in the district, as well as a lot of pay-for services. And we're going to talk about some of that. As we get into this, I want to say a little bit about thoughts on how to navigate the TA landscape. There are dozens of organizations, scores of people. One estimate from my team is that, and they'll talk about that in a little bit, there are over 150 different organizations that are providing support to small businesses in different ways. And those are just the ones that we know about. And so that's great, but it also takes time to figure out how to use those resources and how to navigate and to interact with them. Another thing about having so many services is that some of those services overlap. And there may be 2 different service providers who offer the same service, but they may be offering it from a different perspective. And so the more that you understand the organization that you're working with and the perspective of the person providing TA, that will help you to understand whether or not you want to take the advice that they're providing. If you want to take it right now, or if it's just something that's helpful to analyze and put in your pocket for later. Another important perspective is that TA providers typically are not someone who's going to do a thing for your business or decide a thing for your business. Typically, if you want someone to fully do something for your business, like completing your financials, that is someone that you would pay a service provider to do that. Technical assistance is typically going to share information. They're going to help you understand how to make a decision, but it is your business, and therefore it is your responsibility to make decisions within your business. It is never someone else's responsibility to make decisions within your business unless it is a regulatory enforcement or legal action. So when you start thinking about TA, sometimes people have one question and they just want to get that one question answered, and it takes a long time to get that question answered because people don't know a lot about your business. The way to really think about technical assistance is about building relationships. You don't have to build relationships with the entire network, but think about building relationships a couple of places. And the better that technical assistance provider gets to know you, the better they can offer advice and fine-tune that information. Within that, remember, TA providers, they have a job to provide you with advice. They are taking it seriously. They mean it. If that advice isn't advice that you want to take, that is your decision. But one thing that we talk about often in Build a Dream, and this is just something for you to think on, if advice is not the right advice for you at this time, is there a benefit to hearing quote unquote bad advice? And just think about what that means if you hear advice that you don't want to take right now. And just think about that. Was that a waste of your time, or did you learn something? And I think within that, that brings us to another perspective. Sometimes when you have a question and you start talking to a TA provider, they're going to start asking you questions and taking you in a different direction. And that can feel frustrating because you had a question and you wanted the answer to that question. But a good technical assistance provider may see that there's a deeper or an underlying need that needs to be addressed to get to the answer that you're looking for. And so that's also a reason to be building a relationship, because the more you have a relationship with someone, the less time it will take them to be able to dig deeper and have an understanding of whether or not the question that you're asking is the question that is addressing the need that you have. So in this point, if you were running an interactive workshop, you would break into pairs or groups of 3 and have people just talk a little bit about whether or not they've worked with a technical assistance provider and what the reflections were in that experience. And that will start help to build out referrals that people would have when they've worked with someone who they really appreciated working with, or challenges if they had challenges working with someone. All right, we're about to get the meat of what we're doing today. It is time for us to just really start talking about resources. And when we talk about resources, sometimes people are just thinking money. There are places that you can get financing or grants or other places across the district. But when we're talking about resources, we also really mean information. There's a lot of information that can be valuable, that can be harder to find, just because there's small businesses do all sorts of things and are in all sorts of industries. And so sometimes the information they're looking for really won't fit for other businesses. So it can take time to get into that information flow. But as we go through a lot of resources really quickly, one of the things to really know is that there are far more resources for us to tell you about today and far more resources than we can tell you about in detail. Everything is going to be a really high level resource mention. And if you think about that, that's a really good thing. That means that there is a lot more out there for you as an entrepreneur. So if you were running an interactive workshop at this time, you'd ask everyone to take out a piece of paper and write down 2 to 3 resource needs that they have. And they would post that on the wall. And when they post it on the wall, they wouldn't put their name on it. And then what you have everyone else do is take sticky notes, walk through and read those resource needs. And then if they have a referral, to put it on a sticky note. And so that exercise can take a while, but that is a great way to do a resource share in a time efficient way. We'll come back a little bit on the interactive instructions, how people would do that later. If you have a resource need right now and you want to put it in the chat, please feel free to do that. And so if someone else has an answer for you, they can also put that into the chat. Otherwise, we can definitely make sure that we either address it at the end or in a follow-up with you. But I want to turn things over briefly to Camille Nixon to talk about a really great place to start in this very large ecosystem, to talk about the DC Business Toolkit, which is run by DSLBD.
Thanks, Kate. DCBusinessToolkit.com is an online portal that centralizes resources, be it financial information, service providers, from 150 service providers and agencies all in one place. And to Kate's point, there's like a lot of great resources and most of them are free. And the business toolkits assembles those for you. Kate will share a couple of slides to show you some key sections of the toolkit to help you navigate that information. If you're looking specifically for events like this, trainings, the DC Citywide Business Calendar is located in the businesstoolkit.com. Also, if you want to look things up by keyword or filter by topics or issues or what your type of business is, that's another way to interact with the resources that are in the toolkit, and you can save them to your personal profile if you'd like to reference them later. And then finally, the last slide she'll share is a roadmap, which is a way to interact with information based on a topic. It kind of walks you through one by one. If you say yes or no, it'll show different information. And that's another way to kind of digest all the great information that's out there, but it's kind of hard to get hold of. The roadmap and help you navigate that. So I encourage you to visit dcbusinesstoolkit.com to learn more, and know that all the other resources that Kate and my team will share throughout this presentation are available in the toolkit.
Thank you, Camille. So one of the first places for us to start, because we work at the Department of Small Business Development, is to tell you a little bit about the resources that are within our agency. And I'm going to invite Caroline Howe to say a little bit about the general assistance, and then I'll say a little bit about the assistance that we have with procurement.
Excellent. So in terms of one of the best things that our team offers and the rest of the agency is direct technical assistance. So if you have any questions in running your business, and this is for any business in the district, you can schedule with us. We'll put this in the chat, but you can schedule an appointment with any of us to have a conversation and to get some direction as well as some feedback. We offer all different kinds of trainings. DSLBD offers multiple trainings a week for different types of your businesses. So I see some of the things that are coming into the chat. You may find some of our trainings really helpful in terms of social media, accessing capital, marketing, things like that. We offer multiple micro grants throughout the year. So DSLBD is one of the agencies that does provide grants to businesses, whether that's the DREAM grant, which is for businesses operating east of the river, Robust Retail, which is for retail businesses, and then my program Aspire, which is for returning citizen-led businesses. Again, I'm going this here. DC Main Streets, many locations throughout the district have main streets, commercial corridors that are provided funding by DSLBD and in turn provide resources to businesses in the district. So if you are interested in accessing space in a main street, please do contact them. And then, as my colleague Shannon mentioned as she was introducing herself, we run the Made in DC program, which is a free certification for businesses in the district to be able to identify themselves as made in DC. You don't need to be making a product. You can also be making music. You can be making a service. And so consider that. And then, as Camille mentioned, running District Capitalized and Kiva are two programs that include an umbrella of services to help businesses in the district access capital, Kiva for crowdfunding of small zero interest loans, and other programs in the district that allow access to capital through a variety of sources. So I'll pass it back to Kate to think about the procurement assistance.
Wonderful, thank you. About a third of the agency or more is actually dedicated to contracting and procurement. So the flagship program for the agency is called Certified Business Enterprise. And if you are interested in selling goods or services to district government and you are a DC-based business, you may be eligible for the Certified Business Enterprise program. That is a free certification, and that will allow you preference points on DC government contracts and also may allow you some preference into subcontracting opportunities. It can be a bit of a paperwork process. We'll always say CBE does not guarantee that you will be able to achieve contracts, but it does give you an opportunity to compete for those. Within that, there is an entire division that supports CBEs for their growth. That is the Business Opportunities Division. And there is a book that we would tell everyone to look at if you're thinking about getting into this. It's called the Green Book. It's produced every year. And it says, you know, in general senses, what every DC government agency, there are over 88, plan to purchase in the next year. It's not a complete guide, but it'll give you an area, and it's where you can start looking to think, can I be selling goods or services to the district government? We also have a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. If you are interested in contracting and procurement at the state, federal, or local level, it is funded out of the Department of Defense, and they do one-on-one technical assistance and a lot of trainings on contracting and procurement, which can be a bit of a challenging space. So it's great to have that resource so that you can learn more about all the particulars there. I'm gonna jump because we're gonna keep moving pretty quickly. We're listing some DC government resources, and it's interesting to think about the different ways in which DC government agencies, I mentioned there were over 88, may be able to be a resource for your business. I'm going to invite Shannon to talk a little bit about the regulatory enforcement agencies and some key programs and how to really think about them as a resource. So Shannon.
Sure. So as Kate mentioned, I know that sometimes it can be a bit intimidating or scary as we begin to really navigate the regulatory space when you are establishing your business and continuing to run your business here in DC. But to Kate's point, although it can be a little intimidating, it is also very, very important that these regulatory enforcement agencies actually become a resource for you, that you are aware of who these regulatory agencies are and how your businesses how your business directly interacts with them, as well as any responsibility or obligation that you might have, your business might have, that you need to work directly with these regulatory agencies. And so with that, some of the resources listed here that we tend to share in our general TA, and we want to make sure that you know are also resources specifically within the regulatory agencies. The first one that I will highlight really quickly is going to be DCRAs, and that's the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, their Small Business Resource Center. DCRA, for many of you that probably know, is the licensing and regulatory agency here. So if you have gone through your licensing process, you have interacted with them, whether establishing your corporation, your corporate entity, or getting your business license. And so they have an in-house resource, which is the SBRC, where they can help you to either walk through that regulatory process if you have not, and then offer you support in navigating additional layers of your business, whether in your permitting process, your licensing and renewal process, whatever that looks like. In addition to OTR, which is the Office of Tax and Revenue, I know we don't want to see them, but we do have our tax obligations that we have to fulfill. And for that, the Office of the Taxpayer Advocates is a great office for you to connect with if for some reason you ever run into any issues in navigating your clean hands space or getting documents that is required or needed for your business in the way of your taxes. Sometimes we see that businesses have issues when looking to pursue capital or grant opportunities. And so knowing how to navigate and get those documents that are needed, the Office of Taxpayer Advocate is there for you. Additionally, are listed some additional resources within the agencies of DOEE, DOES, which is the Department of Employment Services. There is a resource to help as it pertains to wages and hours if you're paying your employees, as well as DDOT and their public space regulation as you begin to navigate your retail space. And so although some of these agencies can be a bit intimidating, we definitely encourage you to seek out the resources within the agencies that are offering that one-on-one assistance to help you to navigate, so that the regulatory agencies do not present any issue to you throughout the tenure of your business here in DC. And so with that, I'll pass it back to you, Kate.
Wonderful. I want to invite Caroline, if you want to say a little bit about advocacy and research throughout some of the DC government agencies, mayor's offices, and mayoral commissions.
Absolutely. So for many businesses, we forget to engage with the agencies that are also doing advocacy and research. And each of these agencies either has resources about a potential market for your products or is doing work to enable the business environment that can help your business thrive. So connecting with the relevant agencies or mayor's offices here can really help you in the short and long term. The Mayor's Offices of Community Relations is an umbrella for a really long list of groups, from the Mayor's Office on Returning Citizen Affairs, African American Affairs, Latino Affairs, LGBTQ Affairs, Religious Affairs. So really there's offices to serve these communities, and they offer many different opportunities to bring these groups together, and bringing you and your business into those spaces can be really powerful for you. They're great offices to connect with, and they also do a lot of advocacy for the needs of those communities. Similarly, for the Office of Human Rights and Disability Rights, while these agencies also do have some important pieces for you to follow as a business, they also have real connections to those communities and to see how you can really be a leader in that space. The Office of Planning does a huge amount to shape the future of our city. So they're also great partners if there's a research question that you're seeing that will affect your business in the years to come. Ditto, the State Data Center and the DC Library have an enormous wealth of resources around market data for the district, as well as information on how to grow your business and about the other businesses that are operating in your sector. Thanks.
Wonderful. And I think I might be putting her on the spot a little bit, but as Camille does so much with grants and with finance and capital for your business overall, I wonder if you could talk about a couple of the agencies that are on the list here.
Sure. So the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, which you might hear as DMPED, they offer assistance through their grants, including the Great Street Grant, which is for capital improvement. You should visit their website and sign up, or the toolkit will have that information as well. DSB has some great programs. If you're getting financing, say a loan, and you're looking for collateral, you can get the loan from one financing institution, but DSB will help give you, the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, the collateral to match that. They also have a great spectrum of resources around improving your financial management of your personal finances as well as your business finances. And finally, I'd also probably touch upon DHCD. While they may not give loans directly to you as the business, they do give out a lot of grants to nonprofit service providers, which Kate will go through in a little bit, who will then sub-grant out to help with your facades, to help with other marketing and improvements to your business. So you can get direct services from these agencies or support services through their partners.
Wonderful. And I'll say just a couple more quick things on the grants landscape. Many grants are not directed directly to for-profit businesses. The grants that come through the Deputy Mayor's office and the grants that come through our agency, some of those are, but there are other ways to be involved in grants, potentially as a subcontractor, or you may be able to apply for that grant as a business, depending on what you're doing. The Mayor's Office of Volunteerism, sometimes referred to as Serve DC, actually keeps a grants database of all the grants that are coming out. So that is a great place to sign up for that and see grants that are coming out. Occasionally DHCD has grants. DOEE has many grants, as well as the Commission on Arts and Humanities, but you can see all of that through the listing that is in the Mayor's Office of Volunteerism. And then I want to say a little bit about resource partners and ways to think about agencies that can help you and help your bottom line in a number of different ways. There are a significant number of workforce development programs across the district. As you are a business, and particularly if you are employing people or thinking about employing people, many of those workforce programs would like to help place people for a job with you after supporting training them, on the job training, other pieces. And so you can start to learn about all of that through the Workforce Investment Council. You can choose to offer to join the council. There are public members of that. Starting to see the many different programs, whether it's the Department of Employment Services, the Department of Human Services, whether it is some of our justice agencies and some of our educational agencies. There is both a lot of support for placement and sometimes funding for training for your current folks who are there. So it's a rich landscape on the workforce side, which we know is important for so many small businesses. Other resource providers, for specific things that you do, if you are in childcare or education, the Office of the State Superintendent of Education will both regulate, but also provides an enormous amount of trainings and networking. If you are in urban ag, or if you are looking at running programs in public space, the Department of Parks and Rec may have a lot of different resources for you. We know that the Department of Parks and Rec sometimes provides space for people to be gardening, even potentially as for-profits. The Health Benefits Exchange helps you get signed up for healthcare benefits for yourself and for your employees. They also run a number of business engagements throughout the year, but just bringing together other information. And then I wrote Entertain DC, but this is actually the Office of Film, Cable, Television, Media, and Entertainment. But they work with our creative class. They work with our film companies. They work with all sorts of people. They have a number of different resources, including 202 Creates, which is a program that you can enter and network with. And one thing that I have here, and I'll just say, we cannot advise you on this specifically, but you also have all of your elected officials. You are a member of the DC government, not the DC government, the DC community, and you have a reason that you can reach out to your elected officials, and many small business owners do. And so also consider reaching out to them if you have need or interest. I'm going to cover a little bit about federal resources really quickly. So we've just been talking about district government. We haven't even gotten broader than district government for what we've been talking about so far. But the federal government provides a lot of wonderful resources in the district. And in the first two, and I'm going to talk about one and then see if someone from my team wants to talk about the second one. The Small Business Development Center at Howard University has been there since 1960. They have a lot of counselors. They can provide free technical assistance for the life cycle of your business. They have a ton of trainings that are happening all the time. You can sign up to become a client and stay a client. You can work with different counselors who are there. We highly recommend this for all sorts of different needs, but especially if you're going to be building your business plan or if you're going to be changing your business plan because you're growing your business. It's a great reason to be connecting with them. And then I just want to see if there's anyone from my team.
What's your name?
Who wants to say a little bit about, go ahead and check the mute. If you could keep your phones on mute, that would be helpful. Is there anyone from my team who would like to say a little bit more about the Women's Business Center?
Yeah, I'm happy to. The Women's Business Center also offers TA for the life of the business for folks who are women, non-binary folks, and female identifying. So, and they have all different types of, again, trainings, direct one-on-one technical assistance, and specific access to resources. So you can find them at the link here. And if you are, if you have, many of their trainings are open to anyone. So check them out whether or not you identify as female. I'll pass it over to someone else to talk about SCORE.
And actually, since I know that we're at time, I'm going to start moving us a little bit faster. I thought we were good on time, and then we just got into these resources, and we got a bunch more to mention. SCORE is a service that you can get a mentor through, and that's provided for free by the federal government. We're just going to quickly mention the CDFIs who are here. CDFIs are community lenders. They both provide loans, technical assistance, and training. These are a couple of the CDFIs. There are more that you can find in the toolkit, but they're good to start engaging with even before you're ready to take capital, so that you have an understanding of what it's going to mean if you want to take a loan or other capital, but also to receive that training and technical assistance that they have. There are a number of TA providers that are also funded through the Department of Housing and Community Development through the federal community development block grants. And so you'll see a number that are here. I am going to ask Shannon, actually, if there's a couple that she wants to point out, the types of organizations that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, so the others that I will add in, and I think that several are on this list, is going to be Arch Development, in that they are known for the Hive 2.0. Kate did mention 202 Creates. The Hive and 202 Creates, again, create a space where you are able to, again, tap into additional resources and then also get a perspective from small business TA providers that are external to the government. And so a lot of what they do is they developed kind of like a cohort model, if you will, where they will support you on an ongoing basis throughout your business with being able to pull additional resources for you as you begin to navigate and really move along that entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you for that. And Caroline, would you like to say a little bit about Dreaming Out Loud?
Absolutely. Dreaming Out Loud is an urban agriculture program, but also is developing a food hub. And they provide entrepreneurship training programs for particularly businesses run by people of color who are starting farming, food processing, food education businesses.
Wonderful, thank you. A number of the other organizations on here are either CDFIs or they are Main Streets, which are funded also by DSLBD. But as they're funded through this, they can support people in a broader space than just their Main Street. So that includes, the Main Streets include Congress Heights, Rhode Island Avenue, 8th Street, Main Street, and the WACF also runs a Main Street as well. But we've got some more to tell you about, so we're just going to jump through real quickly. There are more CBOs here. I do want to ask real quick, Camille, I know that you were going to say something about Eats Place, and if you want to say something about that and any of the others that are on the list here.
Oh, sure. I can't quite see the list yet. But Eats Place is a CDFI, as Kate mentioned. These are community-based lenders. They focus on food-based lenders from the concept stage all the way to open and operating. Oh, and now I can see the list. And all of these, most of them offer all free services, even those who may have some for a nominal fee. Just check with them about their free services. And I would say also don't be fixated on the name of the service provider, because they may be helping you as well. LEC, Latino Economic Development Center, was on the prior list. They help people who do not speak Spanish. And there are organizations that may be located in certain parts of the city but have grants to help a larger area of the city. So I would go through and check with all of them. One that often you'll have to go to, if you haven't retained an attorney, you should have one soon at some point in your business. And in the meantime, you can always check in with the DC Bar Pro Bono. They have regular clinics where you can get 45 minutes consultations, as well as great resources online and webinars that are on demand. Those are just a couple I'd probably pick out for now.
Wonderful. I'll say really quickly about the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership. They offer a number of guides and information as you're doing research for your business or to find space for your business. They do a lot of work with the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. You will see also on this list that there are chambers of commerce, not all of them. There are a number that are in the district. There are a number of accelerators that are free to enter. That includes 1863 Ventures, Black Girl Ventures, Street Entrepreneurs, Halcyon, and then a number of different organizations that come together to support small businesses in different ways. So as we are still over time, and I apologize about that, there are also a lot of service providers that you would pay for that we cannot provide direct referrals to because they are for profits. And so we can only provide referrals to nonprofits or someone who is not charging you money. So if someone is going to offer a free service, we can offer that. But there are a ton of services that you probably need to pay for. And this is just a list of some of them. And as you are looking for the right people that you want to work with, we're going to suggest asking for referrals from other businesses. And that's going to move us on just a little bit. You'll see that we barely mentioned these organizations. We barely scratched the surface of what they do. There were many that we couldn't mention and many that we didn't list. Within that, if this is an interactive workshop, you would have everyone take that resource page from before. We're going back to remembering everyone put up a resource page and have a discussion about all the referrals that people made, because those referrals matter. I do want to mention that, you know, we recognize we mentioned a lot of organizations, and a lot of times you're not thinking about your question in terms of organization, you're thinking about it in terms of a topic area, and that's reasonable and that makes sense. So one of the things that we recommend that you do, because you're going to have lots of questions, is that you keep a list of your questions just in one space. And as you start working with people in TA, if they can't answer that question, ask them if they know someone who can, and ask other businesses as well. And through referrals, you're going to start to build out the network that works for you so that you're finding all the information that you need, because there's a lot of information that you're going to be looking for, and those referrals are going to really help. So within that, we just want to remind everyone, with this over 150 different service providers that are offering free assistance, and then all the ones that are offering assistance at a cost. Everyone's constellations of what you're looking for is going to be a little bit different. It's okay. Where you are and what you're doing is going to be different within another business. And so recognizing that we can't tell you everything because what you need is a little bit different, just start on the process of getting those first questions answered, and it will continue to build from there. So I just want to say thank you. Once again, apologies for being over on time. I want to say thank you to my entire team for presenting. This is the last in the series for May. You will receive a link to all of the materials and to all of the recordings for Intro to Lean Campus, Customer Discovery, and Basic Business Financials. And I will just, we can go ahead and end the recording, but we will stick around and answer some questions that are still in the chat.